Hello everyone, welcome to ManageEngine OpManager's free training series. We are so glad to have you all here. So without the further wait, let's get started with part one. And the agenda for our training today is this user management, where we'll be talking about the various users, what are the modes of authentications which is present in OpManager. After that, we'll be looking into credentials, how to apply them and enable the monitoring of the critical KPIs of your devices. Then we'll be talking about network discovery, wherein I can help you with how to discover your devices in OpManager, and the IT infrastructure discovery, wherein we will explain about the dedicated discovery options for few infrastructure components present within OpManager. So the first thing is, before I understand that by this time you would have installed OpManager, but before we started discovering the devices in your organization, the very first step is to provide access to the users or to the members present in your organization so that they can do this, take up this responsibility and then start discovering the assets or the devices present in your infra. So as you are aware, when it comes to IT infrastructure monitoring, it is definitely not the job of one single person. Definitely, it has to be a collective people. So there could be people from server team, there could be people from network team. So not everyone needs access to the entire network. So depending upon the devices you would require to monitoring, we can provide either restricted privileges or the full privileges. So as you see here, we have many different roles in OpManager, wherein we have something called as administrator role, we have operator roles, and we also have a custom user role. So there are three roles which is present in OpManager, wherein you can select what kind of password policies which you want, to which access do they require the monitoring. That is, whether they need access only to the settings or whether they need access only to the OpManager monitoring platform. So this access-based restrictions can also be configured in the complete user management role. So I will walk you through one by one on how to configure these things. So as you see here, there are the different roles which we have in OpManager. So administrator role, wherein you can set whether you need read access or write access. The next thing is operator role, which is a read access across all the models present in OpManager. And then the custom user role, which is you can select whatever roles or whatever access which you wanted to provide for the respective user alone and not to provide access to everything. So let me first switch to the OpManager and let me show you how does this works. So here under settings, you can navigate to general settings. Under general settings, you have user management option, wherein all these users role will be available here. So here, first thing, in case if you wanted to create a customized role, you can just click on role, and once you can click on add role, you can just type in the role which you wanted to add. For example, if it's for the server team, then you can just give the role as server team. You can specify to which access or to which settings they will require, what kind of privileges, everything. You can select it here using this checkbox, which is readily available, and then you can click on save so that the role is created. So once the role is created, then you can come to the users. Under users, we have an option called add user, wherein you can select the specified role. So we have administrator and operator role, which is by default. However, if you have created any custom role similar to the server team role, which we have just created, so you can click on the respective role as well. You can provide the username and password. For example, so name, their respective email address. So please make sure that the email address which you give here is a proper one, because in case if the respective user forgets his or her password. Then with this email address, we can retrieve the password by sending out the reset password link. And you can also configure what type of authentication you would like to provide. So OpManager has the default authentication, which is the local authentication. We also have AD authentication, wherein we can authenticate using the Radius server. And we also have AD authentication. So let's say the user credentials, the users are already mapped to their Active Directories. So we would authenticate all the credentials and all the users verified by using the Active Directory as well. So depending upon your requirement, this authentication, what type of authentication can be configured, and you can just put in the username and password. And once you put in the username and password, and once you click on next, then the role will be automatically created. So this is how you provision the access to different users in OpManager. And coming to the in-depth in user authentication, we also have two-factor authentication. We also have SAML authentication as well, apart from Active Directory. So now that the security is kind of getting restricted, everyone is giving most important to the security aspect. So as a person who has access to a monitoring tool in order to monitor your complete devices present in your infrastructure, so it is also necessary that we need to tighten the securities for those who has access to OpManager also, as well as to authenticate them more than once. So that's where the SAML and two-factor authentication comes into picture. So you can also configure them by navigating to settings, general settings, authentication. So here is where you can configure the Radius server settings. So you can just directly put in your Radius server details, or you can configure your AD by putting in your domain details for the Active Directory authentication to take place. We also have SAML here. So in case if you have any IDP, then you can just directly put in the IDP details here and configure SAML as well. Last but not the least, we also have two-factor authentication, wherein either the authentication mode can be email-based authentication, or the authentication mode can also be based on TOTP also by using any authenticator apps like Zoho, OneNote, or Google Authenticator, or Microsoft Authenticator, anything it could be. I hope this is clear. So next, coming to the device credentials. So now that we have created the user profiles and we have provided the users access to OpManager, so the next thing is to configure the credentials in order to gather the metrics of the devices which we wanted to monitor. For example, we can also use SNMP credentials, we can use WMA credentials, we have VMware, Citrix, Nutanix. So we have various types of credentials which you can configure. So OpManager is basically an agentless monitoring tool, and we use all these credentials to fetch and to monitor the various metrics, which we would be covering it on how to configure these credentials on OpManager. So now going back to the platform. So once you have access to the OpManager, then you can navigate to settings. Under settings, we have discovery, and under discovery, we have an option here called device credentials. So here is where you will be adding the complete list of devices or the complete list of credentials, which is used to monitor your devices. So let's say if you wanted to add any one credential, so you can just click on add credential here. Pick what kind of credential it is. So if it is for network device, then we recommend SNMP credential. If it's for monitoring a Windows device, then it's the WMI Windows credential. If it's for any Linux-based devices such as AX server or Linux server, then you can go with Telnet or SSH monitoring. So you can specify the username and password here. For SSH protocols, you can also specify the key-based authentication as well, wherein you can put in the SSH key as well. And once the configuration is completed, you can just click on save and the credential will be automatically saved in OpManager. So whatever credential which you enter here in OpManager is completely encrypted and stored in the database. We do not have an option of retrieving the credential or seeing the credential which we have already saved it in the past. So once the credentials are all completed here, then we will proceed with the complete discovery mechanism, which wherein we will be adding all the devices. So we'll move to the next part, that is the network discovery. So what is network discovery? It is nothing but a simple process of how to add your devices in OpManager. So now when it comes to discovery, there are a lot of options for discovery. For example, we have IP range discovery, wherein you will just give a complete range of IP address, and devices which are falling within this range will be automatically added in OpManager. This is one mechanism. Second is we have subnet based discovery. Then we also have discovery based on importing from AD as well. Then we also have discovery based on CSV files, which is the most popular one. And you can also add devices based on single IP addresses as well. So these are all the different types of discovery mechanisms which we have in OpManager. And obviously, once you use any one of these discovery options present, and once you start the discovery mechanism, then you will be automatically seeing the discovery progress, and all the devices will be adding one by one. So now let me take you to the console and let me show you where these options are located. So under settings, under discovery, so we have add device or server option. So you can use this option to just discover one device. For example, if I just wanted to add a device with IP 10.1.23.2, so you can just type in the device name or the IP address directly. Use this ping icon to check if the device is reachable or not. Ensuring that the device is reachable, then you can select the respective credential. So this is the credential which you have given in the previous step, wherein we would have provided all the credentials on OpManager. Once the respective credential is selected, you can just click on add device, and the devices would be automatically added in OpManager and the monitoring would be started. Now comes to the bulk discovery mechanism. That is the different types of discovery which I informed you. So here, once you choose network discovery, then under network discovery, you have a new discovery mechanism here. So this is where the different 4 options are coming in. So you can either go with the IP range discovery, where I'll just specify the range of subnet which I need to add, 10.0.1.254. I can just specify the IP range, select the credential, and proceed with the discovery of the devices. So this is one way, or you can directly put in the subnet, or if you have integrated OpManager with your AD. So remember, we have configured AD while configuring the authentication for the user purpose. So the same AD we can also use to pull in the devices from your Active Directory, or you can also use the CSV file import. So we also have a sample file available here. So once you click on this sample file, then the sample CSV file will be downloaded. So you can just fill in the details of your devices present in your infra in that particular CSV format, and just upload the same CSV file here, and you can proceed with the discovery. So doing this bulk, using any one of these devices, any one of these 4 different ways will help you to save a lot of time whenever you're planning to import a large amount of devices for the purpose of monitoring. So it could be 500 devices or 300 devices. So either one of these options will definitely save a lot of your time when it comes to discovery. I hope this is clear. So once the discovery is also started, so you'll be seeing this page wherein you can see the discovery progress. So here you can also choose the respective devices and approve so that it gets added to the tool, or you can do the rejection as well. So in case if you don't want to add one or two devices, then you can just choose the respective devices and then click on ignore as well. So once the discovery is completed, then we do have some filters present within the discovery. So what are all these filters and how to utilize this so that you can do an efficient discovery method whenever you are adding your devices in the OpManager tool for the purpose of monitoring. So let's say that I have a list of devices and I'm going to use the IP range discovery. But within this IP range, there could be a mix of devices. Let's say, for example, there could be servers, there could be firewalls, there could be routers, and there could be any kind of devices. So in case if I wanted to have a specific criteria such as the devices present within this particular range, in case if those devices are of firewalls, then the device should not be added in OpManager. So in case if you have any specific criteria like that, then you can use these discovery filter mechanisms also as a part of your discovery process. So you have an option here called want to ignore devices. So this is available under the credentials place. So once you click on it, here you can choose the respective action. So whether you wanted to ignore devices or whether you wanted to add devices. So in case if my requirement is to ignore devices, then what types of devices has to be ignored? So whether I wanted to ignore a specific IP, or whether I wanted to ignore a complete category of devices itself, or whether I wanted to ignore the devices based on their name. So depending upon various use cases, you can select the respective option. So let's say if I wanted to ignore the routers which would be present under this particular IP range which I have given. So I can just choose the value as router and I can just click on add, and then I can proceed with the discovery so that in case if any routers are present within this IP range, then the router will not be added in OpManager. So this is how you can fine tune your discovery process so that only the most important and critical devices would be added for the purpose of monitoring. And you also have access to the discovery reports as well. So once the discovery is completed, so you can go back to the network discovery, and the discovery report can also be fetched from here. How many devices were added, how many devices are not added. The complete report, you can get it configured here. So now that the discovery part is completed, the next thing is we also have agents. So primarily, OpManager is an agentless based monitoring tool. However, we also have agents to monitor or to discover your devices as well. So given that there are certain criteria wherein we cannot proceed with agentless based discovery, it could be due to many security reasons as well. So we also have agent-based discovery options available on OpManager. So how to deploy these agents in OpManager, or how to start deploying these agents from OpManager to the respective devices is what I am going to show you now. So once you go back to the OpManager screen, so under discovery, in the left side, there is an option called deploy agents. So here is where the agent deploy will come into place, wherein either you can directly download the exe file. So once you just click on download, the exe file will be downloaded. You can just copy this exe file and then paste it in the respective device which you wanted to monitor and start with the installation. So that is the direct way of deploying the agent. Another option is you can also push it remotely from the OpManager tool. So from this server to the device which you wanted to monitor, if you have the ping connectivity, then you can also push it remotely by specifying the device name or IP address, and then by providing the credentials of that device to which you wanted to deploy the agent. and you can proceed with the option for deploy, and the agent will also be deployed directly. So this can also be, so the method of monitoring can be completely customized depending upon your requirement. Whether you wanted to move with agent-based monitoring or agentless monitoring, so this specific options, we give it to the choice of users, and the users, according to the requirement, can proceed with either one of these two discovery mechanisms. So once the agents are all deployed and once all your devices are all discovered here, the next thing is we need to talk on how to group your devices. So grouping efficiently allows you to segregate the devices based on the respective groups. For example, obviously the IT infrastructure will have a mix of your network devices, your servers, your firewalls, your access switch, everything. So grouping will give you an easy option of how to identify the devices, as well as how to group the devices based on their respective teams or based upon many other options, which I'll be explaining you one by one. So first thing is groups can also be created manually using various criteria such as custom fields. We can also create groups automatically as well. So, but before I explain you how grouping works, let me explain you what custom fields are and how important these custom fields are for you when it comes to grouping. So custom fields are nothing but nodes that are associated with the device, or it could be an interface that helps to identify the particular device. For example, if you go to any device which is discovered in OpManager, so the device will have a particular set of custom fields. As you see here, currently it says there's no data available, but whenever you wanted to add any custom fields, so there are a lot of custom fields available here, such as what in which building does this device is there, in which state, what is the serial number, what is the floor, all these. So we have an option wherein you can create custom fields based on your requirement also. For example, let's say I wanted to give a custom field depending upon the device, depending upon the team name, then you can also create custom fields. So how to create custom fields? So you can go to settings. Under settings, we have configuration, and under configuration, we have something called as custom fields. So here is where the lot of the complete custom fields are present here. You can click on add field, create whatever custom name which you wanted to give. What is the field type, whether it's a text or is it going to be a numeric, what is the field length, and once you click on save, then the custom field will be created here. So like this, you can add up to 50 custom fields. So depending upon these custom fields, it will be helpful for us to easily group the devices. Now let's go back to grouping. So how to create the groups? So under settings, we have an option called configuration, and then we have groups directly available here. So once you can click on add, so you can specify the group name. So let's say that I wanted to group the device, I wanted to create a group of all the servers. I can just create the group name as servers. Once you click on next, so there are two different ways of creating a group. So one thing is either the groups can be manually created. So groups is applicable for both devices and applicable for interfaces as well. So either you can manually create the group. Manually is that you just need to select the respective device from the list, move it from left to right, and then you can click on next. Second thing is you can also create groups based on criteria as well. So criteria are nothing but some specific rules. So in case if this rule matches, then the device would be automatically a part of this particular interfaces. So when we use criteria based grouping, so this is a smart method of grouping your devices, which is completely automated. So you can also remember we created, I taught you how to create custom fields and how to add the values for the custom fields in the previous slide. So let's say that you wanted to create a group based on custom fields, then here this criteria based grouping will help you out. So here I'll just specify the custom field which I have created. Let's say, for example, I wanted to create the group based upon the region. Then I can just select the custom field as region here, and I just need to specify what value has to be. So let's say I just need to create a group based on all the devices which falls across the south region. Then I can just specify this criteria, and once I just click on next, then all the devices which is having the region as south will be a part of this group, and this is completely automated. So by this way, it helps you to group your devices based on various conditions, various scenarios. So as you see here, we have south option available here. So once I just click on south, whatever devices or interfaces which falls under this south region will be a part of this particular group. So now that we have talked about discovery and classification of the devices by groups, so we will talk about specific IT systems. So the next thing is interfaces. So how to discover interfaces which are in OpManager, and how to monitor the bandwidth and how to monitor the traffic flowing across these interfaces is what we would be discussing in the next thing. So as of now, whatever I have explained you is completely for devices. Now let's come to the interface discovery. So the same option. So once you go to settings, and then once you go to discovery, we have an option here called interface discovery, which is a dedicated discovery mechanism in order to discover devices. Sorry, in order to discover interfaces. So similar to how we have for devices, now it is for interfaces. So here you can click on new discovery. So here you can give the profile name. For example, I wanted to discover all my WAN links. So I'll just click on, I'll just type WAN link, and I can specify what is the property or how would I like to take this interface discovery further. So is it based on group basis, similar to the groups which we just created earlier, or it is based on properties? So depending upon your criteria, you can proceed with discovering the interfaces. You can configure the criteria here. And once you click on discover, then the interfaces would be automatically discovered. Or if you wanted to schedule this discovery, then we also have an option to schedule this discovery option as well. So let's say, for example, if the interface type equals WAN, and interface criteria, if the interface description equals WAN, if this is the criteria, then I can go ahead and click on schedule. So when I wanted to have this schedule takes place, so is it just once, or is it going to be daily, or is it going to be weekly, monthly? So you can configure this various options depending on your requirement. And once you click on save, then the interface discovery scheduler will be saved, and it will execute it as part of the configuration which you have given here. So that's all about interface discovery. So next we'll proceed with the layer 2 discovery. So layer 2 discovery is one of the useful feature which allows you to discover your layer 2 devices that are connected to your core router. So let's say your core router has multiple devices associated with it. Once you just provide the IP address of the core router alone, then automatically OpManager will discover and map all the associated devices automatically. So how to utilize this layer 2 discovery so that it provides you a detailed connectivity map as well, which will be definitely helpful for you. So once you go back to settings, under settings we have discovery. We have something here called layer 2 discovery. So once you click on layer 2 discovery, you can give the name of the layer 2 map. So let's say, for example, I'm going to name it as my central office, and I'll be specifying the core router's IP address here. So let's say the IP address of my core router is this one, and I'll be specifying the range of IP address. So within this range, whatever devices is connected in this core router, everything would be connected and the map would be drawn accordingly. And OpManager uses these protocols. We use CDP, LLDP, IP route, ARP, and FTP protocols to map the devices as well as to create a complete topological detailed connectivity map also. So once you specify the IP range, so let's say 192.168.50.1, sorry. So this is the IP range, and I'll just select the respective credential which I need to use. And once I click on discover, then OpManager will automatically identify everything and it will give me a complete diagram. So here you also have another option to set uplink dependency also here. So uplink dependency is nothing but if 50 devices are connected to this particular router, and if this router fails, then you will only get only one alert instead of 50 down alerts, because we have a mapping that is not similar to a parent-child mapping. So rather than you getting a burst of alarms stating a device is down, so you can only get only one alarm, that is meaning to say the core parent device is down, rather than the alarms of all the child devices as well. So once this layer 2 discovery is completed, then you will get an output similar to this, which I will be showing it to you in the screen. So this is where you get the list of devices which is connected with the core device and what are all the devices which is connected, how the network map or topology looks like. So this can also be changed depending upon various patterns also. So now that we have discussed on various discovery mechanisms such as interface discovery, layer 2 discovery, and various types of device discovery. So the next setting is talking about the virtual discovery capabilities present in OpManager. So OpManager's virtualization discovery allows you to discover all your virtual devices of popular vendors such as VMware, Hyper-V, Xen, and Nutanix. So just by contacting the ESX host, we'll be fetching in all your VMs details, and we can add all your devices present across your host and data stores as well. So how to use this discovery mechanism, and this is applicable only for your virtual devices. So once you go to settings, there is an option called discovery. Under discovery, we have a dedicated virtualization discovery. So let's say you have VMware environment. So you can just specify the direct IP address of your vCenter or your ESX host, and you can specify the vCenter VMware credential. So remember, we previously talked on how to add the credential. So in that phase, you will be providing the credential of your vCenter. Once the vCenter credential is selected, once you click on discover, then all your vCenter, your host, and your VMs along with the data stores, everything would be present, would be discovered in OpManager. So it would look similar to this page which I'll be showing you now. So if I just click on any one vCenter, it will give you a complete list, holistic view of your complete vCenter details. So we'll be contacting only the vCenter. With the vCenter, we'll be able to add all your hosts and the VMs and the data stores which is present in this vCenter. The complete discovery part will be easily done using this virtualization discovery mechanism. Same applies for other vendors also, such as Nutanix or Xen, any other virtualization vendors also. So now that your virtual devices are discovered, next thing is your storage devices, how to discover your storage devices and how to monitor it. So in case if you have RAIDs, tape libraries, and your FC switches, and in case if you wanted to monitor your storage devices as well, then you can use the dedicated storage discovery mechanism. So how to access it? You can navigate to settings, discovery, and you have an option here called add storage device. So here you will be choosing a specific model of the storage device. Let's say I have the Dell Power Store in my environment. I want to discover it. Then I'll just choose the respective model. As soon as I choose the respective model, the prerequisites which is needed for the successful discovery will be present here. You can directly put in the IP address and the respective credentials. You can click on test connection. Once the test connection is succeed, you can click on OK, and your storage device will also be discovered. So now coming to the wireless LAN discovery. So in case if you have a wireless LAN controller and the access points present in your infra, and in case if you wanted to monitor your access points, your SSIDs, everything, then we also have a dedicated mechanism to discover your WLC devices as well, wherein you can monitor various metrics like the wireless signal strength, what is the traffic usage, how many devices are connected to the SSIDs, your rogue devices, everything you can be able to monitor. So how to do the discovery of your WLCs? So you can go navigate to settings, discovery. Here we have an option called add wireless LAN controller. So here directly you would be specifying the IP address of your controller alone. You'll be specifying the model of the controller. So we have top vendors like Aruba, Arista, Cisco, Huawei. So depending upon what controller you use, you can just specify the model, specify the credentials again, which credential you wanted to use. And once you click on add device, then the WLC devices are automatically added. And we have an exclusive dashboard for WLC monitoring as well. So once the devices are added, then it will display something similar to the one which I'll be showing it to you now. So if I just go to network device, unfortunately, I don't have any access points as of now to show you, but we have a dedicated page where it will show you the complete details of your controller and your access points. And okay, I see it here. Just a minute. Yeah, so I have discovered one Meraki device here. So it shows me the complete list of devices present under this. So this is how the this is how the page will look once the discovery is completed. Yeah, so coming back to other different types of discovering the devices. So we have Cisco Meraki, which can be monitored. We have UCS devices, we have ACI, and we have IPMI as well. So all these have different dedicated discovery mechanisms. So you can use these various discovery mechanisms to discover the respective set of devices. For example, so all the discovery mechanisms will come under this one particular page called as settings discovery. So here you can use these dedicated discovery mechanisms to discover whatever type of devices which you wanted to add. So if I wanted to discover Meraki, then I can just click on add Meraki, wherein I just put in the Meraki API key alone, and I'll be automatically getting the organizations. And once I just click on discover, then all my Meraki devices will be monitored here. Same is applicable for your IPMI devices as well. So in case if you have the Dell IPMI, I mean the IPMI vendor, if it's Dell or HP, or we support almost all the top vendors such as IBM, Supermicro, Dell, HP. So depending on which vendor you use, you can just specify the vendor name, specify the IP address of the IPMI device and the credentials. Once you just click on test connection, then you can proceed to add the device and your IPMI devices will also be added. In case of Cisco ACI, then in the left side, we have a dedicated option called add Cisco ACI, wherein you can put in the same IP address of your ACI device, your ACI credential. Apart from your ACI credential, you can also specify the SMMP or WMA credential as well, which will help you to monitor additional performance metrics, and you can proceed with adding the devices. So I can show you a couple of devices which I have already added in my infra, wherein we can show you the how it will look. So for example, once I add the wireless LAN controller, then the complete details of my WLC will be listed here. So what are all the SSIDs which is having? So how many APs are there? How many clients are connected? What is the metrics? That is, what is the amount of traffic which is used by these many clients? You'll get the complete dashboard. So what are all the access points which is present, in which channel it is connected, in case if there are any rogue SSIDs, yes, and what are all the clients which are connected, the client details, everything you'll be getting it. So this is for WLC. The same applies for your Meraki as well, which I have already shown earlier, I guess. And the same will be applicable for your IPMI devices as well. So if I just click on Meraki controller, so under Meraki, there may be many devices such as your Meraki firewalls, Meraki switches, Meraki radios, nothing but your access points, Meraki vision. So the complete Meraki dedicated discovery mechanism we use to gather the complete details. So you don't need to add, in case if you have Meraki switches separately, Meraki security separately, then you don't need to add one by one, which would be completely time consuming. Rather, just give the Meraki details, that is the controller details, and OpManager will be automatically able to identify everything, fetch it, and discover it in the dashboard. And let me also show you a few of the IPMI devices which we have, so that you can also get to know how the IPMI devices would look like. I think just a second. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have any IPMI device for me to show you. I apologize for it. Let me see. Yeah, and we don't have an IPMI device, but IPMI device will also be give you a complete level of details where, such as your temperature, your power, your sensor, every details of the IPMI devices would also be coming into place. So once again, we thank you for attending this free training series. We will meet you in the next part, wherein we'll be discussing more about configurations and monitoring as well. So we will see you for the next part. Until then, goodbye and take care.